Hey everyone, thank you for joining me here live. If you are on Zoom and you are present with me here, wonderful. I'm so grateful and appreciative. If you are watching this later on YouTube, I'm as equally as thrilled. I hope that you leave your comments. This is the fourth class. It is on claircognizance. But if you have missed any of the other classes, you can go back and find those now on my YouTube channel. So if you're already here, check out the other Clair classes and please feel free to share those. Don't forget to like my page here. It's really helpful and I don't make a dime off of any of my YouTube videos or things like that. All right, we're going to get started with claircognizance, and I've chosen to teach this last in the series of four because it's this the others build up to this in a sense. So we started off with clairsentience and the idea of our aura or nervous system connection and how we can tap in through our feelings with clairsentience, our emotions with clairsentience, and we can use our nervous system, we can use our energy field in an effort to obtain the information through our clair that we're seeking, whether it's anything that's related to our life experience, whether it's to help ourselves with certain guidance or others. Then we moved on to clairvoyance, and clairvoyance means clear seeing, or it's the French term for clear seeing, and how images, symbols, and pictures can even show up in our aura or in our mind's eye as it connects also into, say, the third eye, or the concept that we often use now as the pineal gland, right? And then we had our class on clairaudience, and that's the idea of hearing. And information can be gleaned through words, through songs, and that avenue. But we're still using the aura in our energy field in some way, even with clairaudience, right? And we learned that in the clairaudience class. But our nervous system is also connected in there. And so we move on to claircognizance. Claircognizance is the idea of clear knowing, or getting a knowing of something without necessarily knowing how that information came to us. Whether the information came to us through the idea of guidance, or, meaning that we have questions about our own life, or it came in with that sense of, or it comes through in the sense of, I just know what I know, right? Sometimes we'll say that doesn't resonate with me, or that's not my vibe, and there's information that we feel we're getting through however way we're getting it. Some people will call it a download. Some people think of it as their clairs merging together in an effort to bring them into a knowing. The tricky part of claircognizance for a lot of people, or even how it's taught, it's hard to teach it outside of the idea of sentience, because we just sometimes have a gut feeling and we don't know why we know, right? And so it's okay. We're not going to get hung up here in this class, or ever with me if I'm teaching something, on having to separate and segment them out so much that we're not noticing that there is an interconnectedness and a flow, which in my opinion there should be. And we don't need to say, I'm not good at this, or I'm not good at that, I'm not clairaudient, I'm not clairsentient. You just invite them all to flow in. Here are some ways that claircognizance can display. Now, it can be a sudden insight, or like I had said earlier, download. Ever been somewhere, and I want you to type yes in the chat if this makes sense to you, or it's happened to you, that you just say the right thing, or something comes to mind when you're speaking with someone in an effort to support them in some way. You just heard about a book. Oh, I'm thinking of that book now all of a sudden. Or I just know to say this to them. Or you said something to someone unprovoked, they didn't ask for something and you just said something and it touched their heart in some way. Yeah, I'm seeing these yeses come through. That is a sure sign that you're claircognizant. But I'm going to let you in on something. Every human being is. We're not paying attention to it because it might be the way that information flows through you in an effort to be supportive in the world that you live in. Now, we will say things to people sometimes, and they might not necessarily like what we say, ever spoken something, or shared a thought, an opinion, or a view. Well, and you had no ill intention. Like sometimes we say stuff and we just stuck our foot in our mouth. That's not what I'm talking about. Well, I'm talking about those times when it might have triggered someone in some way, but it offers them space to grow, something new to think about, a wider perspective to have, right? Sometimes we'll share something about our journey or our life that will support someone else, and that's part of that, an insight in that moment to share something. When you're downloaded with an idea, writers are, and artists of other kinds, writers, painters, designers of some kind, people that even cook, they'll just come up with a combination, or they'll have a creative burst of energy. That's thought of as claircognizance at times, the song that gets written. Now, it makes sense that there would be another Clair. So if it was a song, what Clair would that be? If you're here on Zoom, type it in the chat. If you can guess what Clair it would be connected to, say, a musician writing a song. How about if it was a graphic artist or a painter that was painting an image? What Clair would, and got downloaded, what Clair would that claircognizance or the download be connected with? And Kathy says the one of hearing, clairaudient, is exactly right. And you don't have to know the word clairaudient, hearing. And how about the one for an artist, or someone that would be painting something, or designing something, graphic design? And yeah, it would be seeing, or the term is clairvoyant, or simply said voyant is another great way of saying that. I love that. Someone typed in there. So that is an aspect where I'm talking about how it can get woven together, but they often are the ability for us to merge divine guidance, our soul, spirit, all the terms put together with through the imagination side of our brain. They're often woven together, and it's powerful that way, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be always one or the other. Okay, how about knowing without knowing how you knew? Like my son used to not be able to get away with anything, and so I would just know. And this can also have what some people would call their BS meter. Like you just know, like something, it doesn't, again, the term resonate with you because you're, in some way, your nervous system is getting triggered. And that's exactly right. That feeling of it also taps into that clairsentience, that sense of, say, feeling connects to the knowing. It's often that way with claircognizance. And so that's why people can sometimes dismiss it or think that they're not using that. Channelers will often just be in a state of using claircognizance. It's a stream of connection to energy, and they're not even necessarily putting a thought into it. Their theta brain waves kick in, which is that state of where our brain waves are more of in a calm state. Beta brain waves are when we're getting stuff done. I'm getting up, I'm getting my workout going, I'm organizing my morning, I got the coffee going, I'm answering an email. Like that's, that beta fast brain waves. And then we have alpha brain waves when we settle it down and reach, most of the time, that's where we'll stay in meditation. We can move into some delta and theta waves, depending on the channeler or the channeling. And those brain waves are when the information flows through. And I'll be in those brain waves at times when I am channeling spirit for someone. And I have to navigate going in and out of those states. And that's why I'm a regular meditator. And also because regular meditation helps to clear out what's happening to our nervous system. It helps to, like, think of it as my meditation teacher, Sarah McLean, would say, it's dusting the tabletop off. You don't notice the dust on top of a glass table or on top of a table till you move things, and then you go to dust it. And so meditation is like dusting things off in the physical body. I believe it can happen on a cellular level, as well as supporting the nervous system, getting that cleansing, if you will. I don't always feel after I meditate, however, that I've had a cleansing, but it's happened. It has happened. There is science behind this, guys. So you might think I sat there in meditation and I felt like I was almost punishing myself at times, that I'm struggling to sit still or stay still, and I'm every itch, every sound, everything in the back of my throat, every thought's running through my head. But creating the space in your life, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, longer if you are, the busier you are, the longer you need to sit within meditation. It clears those things out. So why? Your clairs begin to flow more smoothly. It takes less efforting to have these downloads with claircognizance show up for you, and you will recognize them. Okay, so how about instant clarity about people or situations? Like, you just know, like, I walk into a room and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be, this is gonna be a challenge. Or you walk in and you're like, yeah, this is my jam. These are my people, right? I love that people are putting, yes, you get that, that knowing about it. That's the real, you could have feelings about it too, but that's really going to stay in that realm of claircognizance, where there's just this knowing, or you just have a knowing about a person, and what they're saying to you either resonates or doesn't, right? And so that's another sign that you are claircognizant, if that's the instant clarity about people and situations shows up for you. You know, whether you're meeting someone new or not, because it could be somebody that you know, and you're like, something's off about this, right? I think we probably all could say that. How about strong urges to say or do something? We talked a little bit about this, but sometimes we can't, it just flies out of our mouth. And oftentimes it's because there's some kind of in a claircognizant moment, our souls, without our knowing it, without the front of our brain knowing it, are that needing to have a certain interaction. And so sometimes we have to trust, even if I'll say something and I'll be like, why did I say that? Now I'm a freak. Now the person at the grocery store, the wherever, thinks that I'm strange, and I have to let it go, because if I'm using myself from the highest good in a situation, there'll be times like that I won't know why something just flew out of my mouth. And I'm not talking about things in a negative format. Claircognizance always shows up at a stop or a point for us that is positive, even if on the surface of it, it might sound like somewhat of a warning or things like that, but in some way it is either positive or supportive. It's never fearful or lower ego based, meaning you're stupid. That's not claircognizance. It could be somewhat of a warning for positive, right? This is not the room for you. use this as a learning experience. It's not going to go how you want it. Like you get that feeling like this is not going to go down well for me in some way. That's not necessarily negative, right? It's how you're perceiving that. But we know it's not being a download or claircognizance when something is of dark, evil, hurting yourself, hurting others, degrading yourself or someone else. That's not a claircognizant moment. That is our fear in our mind kicking in. That is a perhaps even a fight or flight reaction where the whole nervous system gets hijacked, right? And so that sympathetic nervous system is out of whack, and that's not claircognizance. So that's where meditation is also extremely powerful for receiving what you need and the knowing and the clear knowing that goes with it, whether you're saying something to someone else or getting things for yourself. How about mental downloads during sleep or meditation? It just, you got an answer to a problem, right? Or peace about it comes over you. That is also claircognizance. We can have dreams, and we could say then it's connected to clairvoyance, right? And in dreams, we can also hear things, right? I woke up this morning, and what's today, June the 1st, is when this is getting recorded. I woke up this morning and I heard very loudly an 8-pointer just happened off the coast of, and I didn't hear where, but an 8-pointer, and I then felt like that sense of water and earthquake happening. And so I'm going to spend time later looking into the idea of just quieting my mind, not necessarily full-on meditation, to see if more information flows that way, because y'all know I've predicted many earthquakes that have happened. I still see some happening. I felt like this was off the coast of New Zealand, Japan, or the Philippines, but I'm not sure. So that's like, it was just like a download. It wasn't like I got the full thing, because I was in the state of waking up. And that can be slightly frustrated when information comes in or a download comes in like that. But we have to be grateful and then continue, if we want more information, to use quiet moments, meditation, nature, things like that, to follow the information along. And this is just, your guys' start. If you work at this, man, the information that is available, although no one ever gets everything in advance of, say, we don't get a shortcut on living our life or learning our lessons. We don't get, because we spend time in quiet meditation, the download of what's going to happen in our future. But what will happen is either through your soul, spirit, that kind of thing, the greater good of the universe. You can use the word God, love, whatever term you like, is that information can come and weave through us so that we can manage through things, right? It can hit our nervous system and that sense of clairsentience, and connected with the download that we're getting in an effort to move through things with more peace than perhaps we would otherwise. But no one gets out of their lessons. It just wouldn't be living a human existence if we had we knew all the answers to the test in advance, if you will. So we're not working on our claircognizance to do that. But what we are doing is to navigate through our lives with more peace and grace, staying in a hopeful mode and in a positive mode than not. Okay, here's another one. How about an inner voice or knowing distinct from other thoughts? Now, we did talk already about clairaudience and how something can come through artist that is a musician, like say a song, or say even how to put the notes together. But that's another interweaving. Think of this, it might feel similar to the idea of clairaudience, the idea of having an inner voice, but it's always a positive voice, and you're not sure how you know or what's coming through is how that came to you. And so sometimes I will get information and I'm not sure if it's coming from my angelic team or my guides. I don't always necessarily have to put a strong knowing on that side of it, because it can also come just from my soul, from that inner part of me, that is tapping into it. So I say this often, so if you've heard it before, great, you're hearing it again. And so I'm Leanne and you're you, but we're not. We are just having the experience of being who it is that we are. So while I'm having the experience of being Leanne, I am not that. I am more than that. And that more part of me, the me that was me before I was me, can step in and be that inner voice. It's a voice of calm, it's a voice of peace, and it's a knowing, and it's a feeling of trusting it and acting upon it that it's really hard to shake. It's only if we let our fear take over. Okay, here are some more signs that you might be claircognizant. You're intellectually curious and enjoy absorbing knowledge. They're the people that are always wanting to learn something, and it doesn't have to be, fancy math or things like that. It can be, wanting to learn the latest thing, the latest, greatest thing to cook, how to get stains out of stuff. I love those people that want to know that or learn that. Curious learner. So if you're a curious learner and want to know a lot about different things, or you want to learn how to fix things yourself, or at least how it's done, that you are claircognizant. You often interrupt others because you already know what they're going to say. Yeah, these people are also annoying, but it's part of what happens. You might know that person in your life that just talks over you, or is answering a question before you fully get it out. Yeah. So, and if it's you, it's okay. We love you anyway. You're highly analytical, but also have a strong, accurate gut feeling. And remember that gut feeling, reconnect the connection to our nervous system. So I'm saying that again, but it's just, I know what I know. Somebody can't talk me out of it, right? You have, it's not an experience that you have, you just know what you know, and that's how it is. And people who trust that do really well and stay out of harm's way more often than others. Okay, you frequently experience sudden clarity or inspirations out of nowhere, or you get those, what in my family we called a wild hair, like I'm gonna go do something. Or these are people that will also kind of take notes when they get an idea. And then they'll look at them later and they'll be like, I'm not going to do that. That's just, no, it's going to, I'm not writing that book right now, or I'm not, right? We'll get these brilliant ideas and then we don't necessarily always follow through, but it's still those people. You know who they are, and you know if you're one of them. You've been told you're a know-it-all, sometimes because your insights surprise others. Now, the know-it-all concept can seem quite negative, can't it? It can come from a perspective of people being annoyed that you're always knowing it all. So when this comes through someone else towards you, you'll have a gentler, softer thought about that individual or that person. I'm already thinking of someone in my family that's kind of what we call her. And so it just kind of gives us, she's very claircognizant. And but it can often annoy other people, and so I think people should be who they are. Annoy other people if you need to. Oh, somebody in our on the Zoom here, guys, has said that she got told that by a sheriff's deputy, and that was good for you. Like, say what you need to say. Okay, let's do an exercise for the idea of claircognizant. And this is just going for a yes or no. It's a yes or no thought exercise. So the purpose of this is to train your mind to recognize intuitive knowings. And so it's just kind of like trusting that, and it's okay if you see something with it, but I want you to take note if symbols or pictures or images come to your mind when you do this as well. I want you to take note if you hear something when you do this as well, or you have that your nervous system feels like it kicked in, like your body responded in some way, because it's oftentimes that the body or your energy might subtly react to something. And when we go with the yes or no, there's even been some science with this, that we tend to, with things that resonate with us somewhat like a yes, for some people, they'll tend to lean in or lean forward. And with things that can be a no, people tend to pull back or retract in some way or pull in. So you'll want to pay attention to these subtle clues if you're merging in with some other clairs, okay? All right, so we're going to use this question and say one true thing and one false thing. So let's start with just your name. And you can say this wherever you're at out loud to yourself, or you can say it in your mind. It doesn't have to be out loud. But you want to be sitting in such a way, like if I'm leaning to the side or on something, I'm going to have less of a knowing with my body's response. And so I want to be in some way kind of in a neutral, sitting, standing. It can be standing, it can be sitting. If you struggle with feeling anything and you're sitting, standing up might help you. But you start with your name, and I would say, my name is Leanne. And I just get a sense of how that feels in my body. Just say it to yourself. And then type in the chat if you've got any kind of another Clair or any kind of a sensation or a movement. Oh, we do have someone that did lean forward some. Now, if you've done that, now you can say my name is and something that is not your name. My name is Snickle Fritz. You don't have to say Snickle Fritz. You can say anything you want. You can say my name is Hershey's Kisses. I don't know why those came to mind. And just notice how this feels and how it feels different, if it does. I like that. We're getting that people are putting things in here. Some people are saying lean down a little bit, body tensed. And remember, we did truthful ones and not truthful ones. Let's try it again. And let's do I am, however years old you are, that's the truth. You can close your eyes if it works for you, but you don't have to have your eyes closed. And then choose I am in an age that is not how old you are. And see if there's any feelings or something different. Oh yeah, different in the stomach, the way someone's stomach felt. Very effective. I hear the word no. Yeah, that's throwing in another Clair in there. These are just kind of nods to you that you've got, you're, merging or connecting. There's no right or wrong to it, right? We're not judging. I got something more. I got, the clairaudience with it or clairvoyance. It's okay. It's what have you. This one might lean towards one or the other. And so I picked this for a reason. And you're going to choose a color. And so my house is, and say the truth of whatever color your house is, or your apartment, or what have you. Now you can pick whatever the outside color is or the inside color is, it doesn't matter. Mm. And then you'll say, my house is, and pick a color that it is not, meaning something false. Okay. I have someone here on our Zoom that puts that it's almost like something is trying to stop me from saying it, and my body starts feeling tense, is what I got from that, and tense and tingly, and I'm guessing that's from the false part, that the person said that. And people like that often make really bad liars. Sometimes they might think they're getting away with it, but they're not. Even if somebody says they believe them and they're not telling the truth, they'll give themselves away in some way. Yeah, or it's a not a good way for someone that's very sensitive that way, and not a good liar, to do it, because it will hijack their energy field for quite some time. And then what people start to do when they are saying something false, and they know they are, that it will stick for them, like I was saying, for a long time in their energy field, but it'll also wreak havoc on their nervous system. I love it. I'm getting lots of others saying here that they're a bad liar. Probably none of us are good ones, right? And so that's the kind of thing about being claircognizant as well, because since you feel other things so much, what your job to do is to just learn to trust it. All right, so what I want you to practice doing to foster that getting connected into your internal guidance through your soul, the universe, your spirit team, whatever you want, is to practice working with these yes or no's. And you can work with ones that you know, or you can start asking based on something in the world, right? Or something for your life. And remember, you want to start with things that feel either joyful or light to you. So you wouldn't want to just start by asking if your body has cancer, right? Like that's go to the doctor if you have any suspicions about that, right? But what we're talking about is like growing this through the positive sense of it. And then over time, you could get a download that connects you to like feeling like, I just feel like I need to go to the doctor. It's happened to me literally with this spot on my skin. And I went into the doctor because I had already done this exercise, the yes or no, or the knowing with this. And so I went into the dermatologist and I said, I've got a spot here and I'm really sure that this is skin cancer. And if I have a scar now from where it had to be removed. I don't know if you can see it very well. Anyway, it's a light spot on my arm. So anyway, she says that is not skin cancer, and it looks more like this. Why don't we just watch it? And I was like, yeah, but I'm getting ready to move, and this is skin cancer. She's like, and she knows what I do, and she's been my dermatologist because I've had 3 other skin cancers. And so she just knows to listen to me. So she did a little biopsy and she calls me the next day and she's like, I was right, Leanne, it's skin cancer. We need you back before you move. And so we both laughed. And so it wasn't a bad kind. It wasn't the worst kind you can have, right? It wasn't a melanoma. So, but at the same time, that's the muscle that you're building. But we're not, I don't want you to start like testing your body throughout for like cancers. And I took it in a way that I was okay if I was going to be wrong, right? I want to be an advocate for myself. I want to be supportive. I want to trust my instincts. And this is the way that we do it. Now, this exercise can be done with so many things in your life. Here is some advice. And I'm going to just use my son. Although my son could never get away with anything, I had to let consequences sometimes unfold for him. And So I didn't always, even when I knew what I knew, right? Regardless of how I knew it, not sure how I knew it, right? Claircognizance. Um, I just still had to let him go through what some of the things that he needed to go through. And you don't always have to tell everybody everything because you sense it, see it, feel it, or just for some reason know. You want to use some discernment with that when speaking to other people about things. Now, if people come to you and they've, paid money to see you, to do that, to tell them things, then of course. But family members, friends, loved ones, I'll just sit there and mind my own business at times. And I will also know because they won't ask me questions about something if they don't want to know. And so I think minding our own business, staying out of somebody else's business, their journey through this life, it can be a lot of value. It's hard as a mom at times, but that was kind of a good example of learning to not disrupt someone's learning and what they need to go through. I really appreciate everybody. I hope you go back and watch. They're now live on my YouTube channel, Clairsentience and Clairvoyance. And later, either today or this week, I'm hoping to get out the other two, which is, what was that? Clairaudience, and then today, claircognizance. If there is something within the spiritual realm that you want to learn, go ahead and type that in our chat here on Zoom, or put that in on YouTube if you're watching this later from YouTube. I am forever grateful of these opportunities to share some of what I know. I hope it's been helpful. I hope it blesses you in some way. I hope it blesses you so much that you want to share it with others. That would be a dream come true for me. But I am going to end the recording for YouTube. Leave me a comment on YouTube. If you enjoyed this series, I would appreciate to know. And if you're still here on Zoom, just hang out for a second while I wrap this up.